Good evening. Am I on? Nope. The green light's on. Testing. Yes. Good evening. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this wonderful December evening for a wonderful Christmas Advent concert. Axiom Brass has, this is several years, been doing a concert here. And during the year, they rehearse in our sanctuary. And so we charge them by saying, "Can you give us a concert?" So it's a wonderful gift to our church and to our larger community here. So if this is the first time in this building for some of you, a warm welcome to you, and we're glad you're here. And I know you don't want me to stand here talking all night, so I will welcome Axiom Brass. Will you join me in welcoming?
Good evening, and thank you for joining us for a special evening to share some music together. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas. We're so excited to be playing for you tonight. As many of you know, Ravenswood is the home of Axiom Brass, and we have the great pleasure of traveling around the country and around the world performing, but there's something truly special and meaningful when we can come home and play for you. First of all, I just want to quickly introduce the group. We do have a new person since we've last seen you all. So my name is Corey Senslow. I'm on trombone. Our founder of the group is Dorval Puccini on trumpet and the flugelhorn that he is now holding. Our newest member is Abby Black on French horn. And then we have Kevin Harrison on tuba, who's been in the group for about 15, 16 years. We lost track. And then Chris Scanlon on trumpet in his second year. And yeah, we have a great time. We get to tour all over. In the last few months, we've been everywhere from Maine to British Columbia. So we've gone to do both oceans and do some seafood in the last few months, which has been lovely. But once again, it's very special for us to come home and to play for you all in this holiday season. So the first piece you heard us do was Go Tell It on the Mountain. And we're going to share another Christmas song with you, although this one is not quite as recognizable. Julstämning, which is Swedish for Christmas mood or Christmas spirit, it really reminds me of kind of sitting around the fire. It has just a beautiful warmth to it. It feels like just putting a blanket on you. It was written by the Swedish composer Elfrida André. Not a super well-known composer. He was from 1840 to 1919 were her years. But she's truly a special composer, and something that she kind of lived by. One of her mottos that she had both as a composer and as a musician, and she also worked in the telegraph industry, was the elevation of womankind, which is a really wonderful thing for us to celebrate with this piece early on in this program. As you'll learn a little bit later on in the program, we're going to share a couple of the projects that we've been working on this year as a group with you, and the elevation of womankind is something that's been really important to us this year. So this is Julstämning by Elfrida André.
Well, that's a pretty melody. It's fun to play. I like that one. It's not, as Corey pointed out, not that well known. The next one we're going to play for you is tremendously well known. It's the one and only Adeste Fideles, right, which we all know is the Latin for, O come, all ye faithful. And I'm not a scholar, but it seems like there's a lot of conflicting accounts of who actually wrote the music for this. There is, however, pretty good certainty on who wrote the text. It was a man named John Francis Wade, which I remembered in my head because it's very similar to one of my favorite basketball players named Dwayne Wade. Of course, this was written in the 1700s. It's a beautiful arrangement that was commissioned by another fabulous brass group in town called the Axiom Brass, and it's a very exciting variations on this common Christmas theme. We hope you enjoy Adeste Fideles.
Going back to classic holiday tunes, but we're gonna shift a little bit forward to our upcoming project that we're all super excited about. The last few months we've been working on translating early music by women composers from the classical, early classical, Baroque, and Renaissance era. It's been a really incredible project. It started, I think, in the pandemic with Corey translating some madrigals by Barbara Strozzi, and it's just been absolutely amazing how much music we've been able to uncover that has been lost and forgotten. So the next two pieces you'll hear are part of that project. The first one is a Sinfonia by Leonora Duarte. It's part of a set of 7 that I've got transcribed and ready to go. And then the next piece is a canzona by Claudia Francesca Rusca, and I hope you enjoy listening to them as much as we've enjoyed uncovering them and kind of reinvigorating and bringing new life into them.
I always do this in our concerts. I always take the microphone off. I feel more comfortable that way, but I always feel like I'm doing an open mic night or something. I promise you that's not the case. My jokes are terrible, as they can attest to. So as Abby was saying, we have a new project, and I was just reflecting on what I was going to talk about before our next piece, and just thinking of all the years that we've spent in this wonderful space, and your welcomeness, and welcoming nature, and your hospitality, and how wonderful it is being able to share this space with such a wonderful community. And just thinking about all the albums that we've recorded 3 albums. First Impressions, before that was New Standards, and then our latest one is an all Piazzolla album called Astor. And then this new project that we're embarking on. And with all of these things and all of our commissions that we've worked on, this has been the space where we've workshopped all those things. So it's a really special place for us as an ensemble, because all of our success as a group has kind of come together here. This is where we've rehearsed everything. So it really truly is a special place for us. The next piece that we're going to do is a very new piece to us, a piece that we also workshopped here, and we did Zoom sessions with the composer here. It's by a young woman named Lillian Yee. She's based in San Francisco. We discovered her music during the pandemic. So that first spring after the pandemic, when things were just about to starting to open up, and vaccines were becoming available, we were all lucky enough to get our shots and go down to Florida to organize like a 6 or 7 day outside tour, an outdoor tour. So we did concerts outside throughout Florida. And the first concert we did was in Key West, and in the town center there's this big, tall lighthouse. And they thought it was a wonderful idea if we started the concert with a fanfare with the trumpets playing at the top of the 70-foot tall lighthouse. However, we were performing all the way across the yard, so they would have to descend all the stairs and then run all the way across the yard, like, half a football field, and then play a concert. So we thought we'd give the trumpets a break, and so we were looking for a low brass trio, and we stumbled across this wonderful piece called The First Six by Lillian Yee, and it was her first ever brass trio. It's her first ever commission and her first ever brass piece. And it's just a wonderful piece that talks about the first 6 months of a relationship, all the things that you go through during that. And we love the piece so much, we decided to commission her for a brass quintet through a consortium. So there's several quintets throughout the US that contributed to this project and that we got to premiere recently. It's a really wonderful piece called The Miracles of the Human Condition. And it expands on that first 6 idea. It just tells the trials and tribulations of going through a relationship. So it starts off with meeting the person, and then having the argument, and the first times you have the disagreements. And this particular, it's a programmatic piece, and I won't go too much detail into it, but the next part you have the pretty intense argument, but then comes the healing and the acknowledgement of that, and then finally you have the celebration and the coda and the marriage. So it's a really wonderful piece that really brings together all of her passions with the music of sort of the romantic and the impressionistic music of like Satie and Debussy. I hear kind of that French influence, but really heavily based on Brazilian bossa and different styles in Brazilian culture. So it's a wonderful piece. We hope you enjoy it. Miracles of the Human Condition. That concludes my open mic night.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We're gonna try a new tradition right now, and we're gonna play that again and have you sing along. That joke is about as cheesy as the mac that they served tonight. It was good mac and cheese. It was very cheesy. All right, we're actually going to take the shortest intermission ever, and I'm sure it will make sense after we take it. So we'll be back in just about 2 minutes. Thanks. Yeah. There's not much to say after you walk on stage wearing this. That's a tricky one. Oh, Chris took a notch up. So the next thing we're going to play for you is Christmas music of the 1500s. Yeah. But what's even more amazing about it is that the two texts that both of those motets were based on have been the source of compositions that, I mean, actually, if you Google each one of the texts, you will get, one of them, I think there was something like 80 to 90 different compositions made on the same text. However, this one was by Raffaella Ailotti, a nun who wrote apparently quite a bit of music. However, only this set of music that we were able to find is the only one that survived, and it happened to also be one of the earliest sheet musics of women composers ever printed. So it was a significant thing. Ailotti came from a family of, her father had 5 daughters, and Raffaella was the oldest one, and the youngest one was Vittoria. However, there's a lot of sources that believe that Vittoria and Raffaella were the same person. But there's not much documentation. It's not like there's birth certificates or things like that to go back and check. So the interesting thing is that I think one of the reasons why they think that was the same person is because they didn't think that two women in the same family could be composers. Right? Come on. Now, one thing that does play in favor of the assumption that it is indeed two different people is that both of them have music that have survived, that is you can still find. Aleotti with this set of motets, and then, Raffaella with this set of motets, and Victoria with several madrigals that exist. And in the book of madrigals that Victoria wrote, she asked her father to write the introduction. And by the way, in the 1500s, for someone to write a book of madrigals was a huge deal. So for Raffaella's music, there was never introductions by her father, which many took as to describe the kind of relationship that the two of them had with their father. So I like to make up my own story about this whole thing. Because one of the theories is that Raffaella changed her name from Victoria to Raffaella when she entered the convent. And I just want to imagine that maybe she like owned money to someone or something like that. And they're like, wait, you're that Victoria, you owe money to so-and-so, right? And she's like, no, that's my sister, Victoria. I'm Raffaella, we're cool, let's keep going. It's not like anyone's alive to come say that it wasn't true, so it's all good. So this is two early settings that we found, Facta Est cum Angelo and Angelus et Pastore et, which is we're in the presence of the shepherds, and then the angels announced to the shepherds. Very interesting early Renaissance music. I hope you enjoy. I could see Corey's eyes towards me already, about to, well. I'm going to believe Kevin because he moved it. So, of the many projects that we've had this past few years, one of them is that we finally got our very own nonprofit. It's, yes, the Axiom Chamber Music Society. And the purpose of this project is that, believe it or not, very old music and brand new music is not part of the free market as you would think. So people are not rushing to get those things to exist. However, I think there's a fine point that we have to realize that's incredibly important in the existence of art and human history, is that as much as we have to remind ourselves of our history, as much as we have to continue to honor our history and to share our history with each other, if we stopped what we're doing, if there's no more new art created, if there's no more music created, we're no longer making history. So there's a huge importance in continue to support the music of living composers and continue to support discovering music that has not been performed for hundreds of years. So that's where this nonprofit comes into place for us. So from now on, if one day you wake up, let's say, what is it? It's after Thanksgiving. What is that day? Giving Tuesday, right? If there's one Giving Tuesday where you're going, wow, who am I going to donate some money for a good cause? You can always go to Axiom Brass and find the Axiom Chamber Music Society and make a contribution, and it will go a long way to creating new repertoire, especially creating equity in the repertoire so that it is a better representation of the make of our society, and to continue to rediscover pieces like the ones we've been bringing to you today, and to perform concerts at elementary and middle schools all through Illinois and anywhere actually in the world that we go. We've played educational concerts in several different countries already. So that's what that is for, and I hope you, if one day you decide that you want to help a nonprofit, you will consider the Axiom Music Society. It will also help pay for a new mic.
end with Angels We Have Heard on High, and then what's December without some Nutcracker? We're going to do a fun take on the overture to the Nutcracker, so it's kind of fun to end a concert with an overture, but this this arrangement is by Duke Ellington and was arranged for brass quintet specifically for the group by Jim Stevenson, who's a trumpet player. Hope you enjoy.
Thank you. We really all wanted to go home. Chris already had his trumpet in the bag. Now, we have a prize that we're going to give to whoever in the audience is able to spot the one difference that happened after we came back with our new outfits that does not include our outfits. Anyone? No, they were there. You just didn't pay attention. Yes. Nothing. Nothing is different. Anyone? Matt? We came back with a new trombone. Yeah. It's the miracle of Christmas. It was old, and now it's new. We're incredibly happy that we just announced this past week that we've entered a partnership with the Kahn Bach instrument maker. So we are Bach artists and Kahn artists. I think we're the only people who are contractually obligated to announce that they are Kahn artists. Yeah. Now, we're really excited about this partnership. This trumpet this year turned 80 years old, and it is indeed a Bach trumpet. So for me, it's really special that I get to work with this company that has been making instruments for so long that are incredible instruments. So we're going to play for you one more tune. It's actually a tune that has some very mixed emotions for me personally. Many years ago, we were about to go on stage in Michigan to play with a show with an orchestra. When we saw on the news the terrible news of a gun shooting that had happened at Sandy Hook. This broke in the news within moments that we were about to go on stage. And, you walked in and you see that there was a different mood in the room. It was a packed hall. Everybody there went there to listen to Christmas music. And it was hard. What do you do in front of people when you have to entertain them after something like that happens? We played through the show. We had as good of a time as you could have with your mind in that place. But I remember the very last thing we decided to play for them is this tune that we're going to play for you right now. And there wasn't much to say because, those times when they happen, you can talk, you can point fingers and say, the blame goes here, the blames go there. None of it matters. All that matters is that we lose hope. And without hope, there's not much more of us that's left. So every time I feel like every time we play this tune, we just kind of have a hope that there's still holier days and holier nights ahead of us.